તમે સ્ક્રીન ઉપર નહીં હોય ને, તમે સ્ક્રીન ઉપર તમે ખાલી મારા હેવ ટુ ટોક લાઈક ધીસ. ઓકે, તમારો અવાજ હશે ખાલી. ઓકે.
Namaste all and welcome to our live session. Today we have a topic on comorbidity and its impact on COVID-19 patients. To have a talk on this topic, we have Dr. Jayesh Prajapati with us, who is Senior Consultant Radiologist and he is Professor and Head of Department of Cardiology. He is Director and Senior Interventionalist Cardiologist at Apollo Hospital. Sir is with us at Apollo Hospital for more than 14 years and has vast experience of coronary angioplasty and stenting. So, sir, today we have a topic on comorbidity and its impact on COVID patients. So, first of all, we want to ask what is comorbidity and what its impact on COVID patients.
Thanks for my kind introduction and thanks Apollo Hospital. Good on everybody. So today we are going to discuss on COVID-19 and comorbidities and all. So regarding your first question, what is comorbidity and what is COVID-19? Nowadays, because of social media and news, we are aware of COVID-19. It's basically viral infection. So that mainly affects the lungs as well as the blood circulation. It can present with so many ways. But in some of the patients, the COVID-19 infection behaves notoriously or causes more complication or morbidity and mortality. And most of the patients, those who are the comorbidities, we think that what is comorbidity? Means comorbidity with other associated illnesses and that adversely affects the COVID-19 infections. Means suppose one patient that is having no problem, only COVID-19 infection means just a viral infection. Another patient who is having viral infection but he has got other diseases like hypertension, diabetes, obesity, associated heart attack or heart pumping is lower, or patient is on an immunocompromised condition like he is on chemotherapy, or patient who is having kidney disease or underwent organ transplantation on some of the immunosuppressant drugs. So these are the patient means associated diseases that can affect adversely with viral infection. So these are known as comorbidity and that's all.
Sir, we would like to ask if I have a heart condition, am I at more risk of getting COVID-19 than somebody who doesn't have heart condition?
Yeah. COVID-19 infection, suppose there are two patients sitting together. One is having a COVID-19 means no associated disease and another one who is having heart disease like that. So there are chances of infection or getting infection is almost the same, but suppose the patient has got a heart failure or wet lungs, then there are chances they can catch up the infection early and once they are get infected, both the patient, then the patient who is having heart disease, they behave badly compared to the patient who is not having any heart condition. So that way both behaves differently. Chances of infection are almost the same, but if they have got a wet lung, then there are chances then he will get a more infection.
Yeah. So sir, is there any risk of developing severe COVID-19 symptoms similar to all patients with a heart condition, or are there any differences?
We know that some of the symptoms of the COVID-19, that I am going to elaborate. Patient with COVID-19 infection, suppose the patient, there are mild, moderate and severe. In language of medical language we are dividing. So mild symptoms is how we can recognize the patient who got a COVID. So patient has got only malaise, weakness, body ache, low grade fever, sore throat or the dry cough, and these are the symptoms. And after that, some of the patients, they develop that smell sensation has gone down, or the feeling taste also goes down, and some of the patient with another atypical symptom like nausea, abdominal pain, diarrhea, this kind of symptoms can also develop. But the symptoms, suppose patient who got a heart problem and no heart problem, initial symptom might be the same one because it's a viral infection, But after later on, the patient having a heart problem or comorbidities, they progress from mild to moderate to severe. Then this kind of patient, usually the initial symptom, what is the latent period? Means suppose somebody has got a COVID-19, suppose somebody has came in contact, and after 5 to 7 days they start having symptoms. So that is known as incubation period. So after that, initial symptoms are like mild, this one, as I told, fever will be low grade, around 99, 100 degree. But some of the heart disease patient, they have, once they get more infection and they go to the moderate stage, and moderate stage means these patient, they develop after 7 days, they feel either the fever persist, they will develop cough, they feel shortness of breath, means once they go to the toilet or they do some activity, they feel tired or they feel some kind of air hunger. So then the symptom has progressed, and they are, when they check their oxygen level, the saturation, normal person at a room air, they have got around 97 to 100% saturation. But such a patient, their saturation goes down, and after going to toilet or some exertion, it go down sometime below 90 or 92. Once it goes below 92, we have to be very careful. So heart patient, once they get sicker, and then they develop symptom like breathlessness, shortness of breath, hypoxia, drowsiness, and such kind of symptom, that means they get worst kind of things.
Yeah. Sir, if I have atrial fibrillation, am I greater risk of getting coronavirus infection?
Some of the, as I have told, the pre-existing cardiac situation or cardiac disease, atrial fibrillation, usually most of the patients with atrial fibrillation, they have got other comorbidities like valvular heart disease, old heart attack, or heart function, LV dysfunction is there, or some patient have got hypertension, diabetes. So some of the other diseases associated with atrial fibrillation. So they get an infection higher, not that, but once they get infected, then there are chances that that morbidity or mortality will be high. So such kind of atrial fibrillation patient, they should take more. Nowadays I can say in everywhere in the world, everybody has to take care they don't get COVID infection, but such kind of patient, they should take extra precaution that they should not get a COVID infection. That's why they are different, because once they get infection, they behave badly.
Yeah. Sir, we have read that the coronavirus can cause heart problems such as heart attack or arrhythmias. Is it true?
Yeah. The COVID-19 infection is basically what it does. Once it progresses, initial stage mild symptom, most of the patient, now what they see in the media, most of the patient, they recover very well. Almost we can say recovery rate is around 90-95%. But the 10%, they will progress to moderate to severe. Initially mortality in Gujarat was very high, around 10%, then we back to 5%. Nowadays in India around 3 to 4%. That is the mortality rate I am going to tell. But the issue is that how it affects. When disease progress to moderate or severe stage, it causes inflammation and blood coagulation. So COVID causes the stasis of blood inside the microcirculation, suppose in the lungs or in the vasculature. So what is heart attack? We are aware of heart attack. The blood vessels supplying the heart, when it get blocked either by a rupture of a plaque or the blood clotting by any means, or because of lipid accumulation inside the vessel, and that causes the artery blockage, and that can lead to the heart attack. So what happened in COVID-19 infection? It behaves both ways. One is the inflammation. It causes vascular inflammation, and that inflammation lead to the rupture of plaque, and that can lead to the heart attack. Another second issue is that the stasis, and that stasis into the pulmonary, means lungs, it causes the breathlessness and oxygen saturation become lower. So it affects heart, one by means of doing the heart attack, another second by doing the effect on the lungs, and a secondary way affect the heart function, and sometimes the viral infection causes the myocarditis, and that can lead to the lower in ejection fraction, so pumping become weak. So that way it causes the heart attack and affects the heart.
So, sir, cardiac patients who also have diabetes or hypertension are at greater risk.
Yeah. Hypertension and diabetes and heart attack. So, all these are the brothers. So, patient, most of the you see the diabetic patient and hypertensive, then 1 plus 1 is not equal to 2, but sometimes 1 plus 1 is equal to 3. So, when the patient the added any comorbidities are added, suppose patient has got a diabetes, hypertension, obese, and he get an aged patient get a COVID infection, it is very difficult sometime to come out. So, suppose patient got a diabetes, hypertension, heart attack, ejection fraction lower, associated kidney problem, aged patient. So, that is why it makes a difference. Addition of any one thing multiplies, not only additive effect. So that is why multiple comorbidities, that kind of patient, they should be very, very careful, they do not catch up the infection.
Sure, sir. So, sir, there are reports that COVID-19 may induce myocarditis and pericarditis. If had it previously, so are you more vulnerable to contracting it a second time?
Yeah. So, one thing is that patient who has got already has got a heart attack or a dilated cardiomyopathy, his pumping or function, LV function is poor, he get an infection, then there are chances that they can deteriorate faster. Another patient who is a young patient, even the viral infection, and because of systemic inflammation, it causes the myocarditis, and another septicemia, that also suppresses the heart, and that kind of myocarditis or the septicemia, multi-organ dysfunction, that also depresses the heart function, and the heart function, once ejection fraction from 60% come down to 30-20, and this kind of myocarditis or the LV dysfunction is deleterious, and it adds to this morbidity as well as mortality, and such kind of patient, they will require more oxygen, they go on ventilator, and sometimes it is very difficult to come out on infection. Another thing is that once the patient has got COVID infection, and even they recover, and sometimes they get a secondary infection, and they even get worse because the lungs are wet because of LV dysfunction, that there are chances of they get a secondary infection like bacterial infection or other viral infection, and they get a sicker. If they get prolonged hospitalization, they don't get recovery initial period, they can deteriorate because of secondary infections.
Sir, are people with heart disease more likely to die by COVID-19 than those who don't have such kind of disease?
Yeah, of course, yes. What the data says, and what about our Indian whatsoever data we know, that the patient India, hypertensive patient as well as the obese patient, they do worst. Then come of course the diabetes, heart disease patient, and those who are the immunocompromised, means patient having a, suppose patient on a chemotherapy, or patient who have organ transplantation, somebody has been transplanted kidney, liver on immunosuppression drug, or patient who has got a COPD, means already having a compromised lungs because of they are smoker or pulmonary fibrosis, or the patient who has got a kidney disease already on a dialysis. So such kind of patients, so started from hypertension, obesity, diabetes, LV dysfunction, as well as immunocompromised and kidney patient, they behave as per, as I have told, rank wise.
Sir, as I know that I should not go to hospital if I think that I am infected, but when should I seek medical attention if I have any pre-existing heart condition?
Yeah, we know that for the COVID, there are updates available from all over the world. Even our ICMR started from the WHO, they give statements. Our ICMR also produces some of the guideline, and they modify. We know that initially WHO has told that it spreads by only by the touching or the surfaces, and then it says because of cough. So initially masks were not needed, just hand washing was needed, and then they told the mask is a must, and then already newer guidelines already published by so many things. And nowadays we know that it spread by the and they are burden for the hospitals. So nowadays patient, as I have told, mild symptoms, only dry cough, malaise, patient is stable, oxygen saturation okay, no breathlessness, such kind of patient doesn't require hospitalization, only home isolation, and they should be take care they don't come in a contact with other person in the family, so that is enough. But if they go to the moderate stage, if such kind of patient at home, they develop persistent fever, they remain symptomatic after 7 days, they got a more cough, they become shortness of breath, their oxygen saturation comes lower, or sometimes the COVID patient, they get a happy hypoxia. They look stable at rest, but when we go to the toilet or they exit, they feel symptomatic. So that is known as happy hypoxia. And such kind of patient, if your saturation, you have to at home, you have to monitor yourself. And suppose your fever comes back, or a saturation goes below 92, then of course you have to consult the doctor, and then you have to get it admitted and get some of the extra investigations, as I'll discuss in the later part of my talk.
Sure. Sir, we have a viewer who has raised a question that I need to know that there is no past history of any BP and diabetes, but after COVID the things are having symptomatic in my body, so what should they do?
What I understood from your question is that I have not got a COVID, I have not got a hypertension, diabetes, anything, and once I get a COVID, how I will come to know that I have got a hypertension, diabetes or not? Of course, as I told, once you get a COVID infection, then sometime because of anxiety or some other things, some of the patient, they get a borderline or the must check, and we ignore most of the time. So at the COVID infection, we have got a pre-existing hypertension that was remain unrecognized, and or sometime we don't have got that much of hypertension, but because of infection, sometime the diabetes precipitates or the blood pressure goes up because of anxiety or because of a disease. So that is one of the things that we should keep in mind.
Sure, sir. So sir, we'll get back to our talk. So if I am already on a medication of heart disease, should I change any of my medication doses?
Yeah, that's a good question. So initially what happened in the research data say that it is related to ACE or renin-angiotensin aldosterone system. So that is there are receptor, and I'm not going to go in detail. So there are some controversy because the hypertensive patient, most of the hypertensive patients, they are on either a ACE inhibitors or ARBs, means for a layman language, patient either on a Ramipril or the Cardace kind of drug, or patient on a losartan or the olmesartan or the telmisartan. So these are the drugs which are prescribed commonly for the hypertension. So ultimate conclusion is that no need to stop all these medications. Suppose you are hypertensive, already on medication, whatsoever medication you are continuing, you continue. Whether it's a ACE inhibitor, ARBs, they are not harmful because there is no such data whether omitting a switch over to other will help or not, because these are the drugs which are helpful for the heart failure patient. So on COVID, patient develops heart failure, we are going to give this drug for treatment also. So there is no harm to continuing all this medication. So whatsoever your medication you are taking for hypertension or the diabetes or any other comorbidity, continue with that and leave it on your doctor. Don't change yourself. Leave it on the doctor what should be done for such kind of medications.
So, sir, there have been some news report about medication given to some COVID-19 patients which could cause dangerous arrhythmias. So, what should we know about it?
Yeah, we know that initially we know the controversy of hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine, the chloroquine is a controversial drug. We know that from worldwide there are controversy going on with this drug. And some of the drug, like as I told, hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, they call the QT prolongation. So that drug, when of course it is a relatively safe drug, it has been tried since long by the rheumatologist for joint problems and all. But when this drug has been combined with other drugs which can cause a QT prolongation, like patient already on this hydroxychloroquine, when they take a azithromycin or some of the antiviral drugs, and then or another the drug which cause QT prolongation, or patient who having electrolyte imbalances or the patient with LV dysfunction and such, or already congenitally problem, such patient they develop a dangerous arrhythmia and causes sudden cardiac death. So doctors, without doctor's advice, don't take such kind of medication. And before starting hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine, what I advise, at least your one ECG should be done baseline. So you have got a congenital QT prolongation that is known, and you develop gradual QT prolongation, then doctor will be aware that you have got a QT prolongation. So combination of all these drugs can cause adverse effect, and sometimes dangerous arrhythmia and sudden death can occur. Otherwise, but it's a good drug. With doctor advice, you should continue.
Yeah. So sir, what do we mean by CT value in RT-PCR test and its implication for patient prognosis?
Yeah. So how we diagnose the COVID? We know that the COVID can be diagnosed by 2 or 3. Initially, among these, whatsoever available is RT-PCR is considered a gold standard. So RT-PCR, they getting a nasal swab or the oropharyngeal swab, and that swab sent to the laboratory and they give a report. So that is RT-PCR. Another is an antigen test, rapid test. So rapid test is also one of the tests for the COVID. But suppose among these two, the RT-PCR is considered to be more reliable. Another test is a antibody testing. There are some of the controversy with antibody, IgG, IgM antibody. I am not going to go into detail. So one test to confirm COVID is a RT-PCR test. Another is the HRCT, CT scan. So CT scan, if the patient has got a lung damage, then the CT is, of course, is more sensitive is there, ground glass opacity is there, and any lung affection because of COVID can be seen. And that is also, they give us some of the classification, how much damage to your lung part, and they give also one of the classification. So CT scan, HRCT thorax is the other thing. So RT-PCR, they give a CT value. And the recent ICMR produced some guidelines, because there are some of the data, or there are some of the WhatsApp videos, and all these were in the WhatsApp group. So RT-PCR value is the lower than 24. They consider that lower the value, they are more infectious, or they are more hazardous to the patient, or more hazardous to the society. RT-PCR is higher side, then the patient is less infective and they have got a less infection. But it is not so. They says that it doesn't much correlate, because it depends on so many factors. On what day patient symptoms the RT-PCR sample has been taken, from which side the sample has been taken, because oropharynx, nasopharynx is a large area. So from what side has been taken, what stage of the patient, or what day of the infection it was taken. Another sampling error means sample has been sent and laboratory has tested it within 1 hour, half an hour, 6 hours, 1 day, 2 days. That also makes a difference. So that's why it is not correlated much more. But of course, little bit we can careful. Those patients who has got a more infectious stage, of course, everybody has got a PCR value, they should be isolated. Another thing is that all the patients with COVID, they don't get a RT-PCR positive. 65 to 70% they get a positive, 30% even RT-PCR is negative. The CT scan suggestive of GGO, ground glass opacity, they might have, or they have got a COVID infection. So that way we are defining the patient COVID suspected, COVID confirmed. Accordingly we classify the patient and we treat accordingly. And some of the patients we have got a doubt, we send a second sample for the RT-PCR. So that we should keep in mind.
Sure. So sir, we would like to know about the values of laboratory parameters or biomarker in case of COVID-19 treatment.
Yeah. So as I told, the laboratory what we do is RT-PCR, but all the patients we are doing RT-PCR, no, if we have got a doubt, because not only one infection in this country, we have got so many viral infections like dengue, simple upper respiratory tract infection, lower respiratory infection, common influenza, even the even this one what we can say, another is dengue, or some of the other viral infections small. So what happens? We get a lab parameters, we get a count. Initially the CBC or the complete blood count, we get a CRP, C-reactive protein. Anybody got an infection, CRP is high. Then we get a other markers like inflammatory markers. So now I move to the biomarkers. So biomarkers like D-dimer, troponin I, IL-6, these are the biomarkers, or the BNP we are doing it. Patient who got a comorbidity, what we will check? Suppose patient got a kidney problem, we get a creatinine done. If the patient got a electrolyte QT prolongation, we get a potassium measured. And of course the IL-6 is the inflammatory marker. Whenever the COVID progresses, patient more symptomatic, that IL-6 or the CRP goes up. D-dimer is suggestive of vascular thrombosis marker. It of course is a non-specific marker, but it is suggest rising D-dimer sometimes carries some prognostic value. Then we, such kind D-dimer is high, we give this patient the blood coagulant, means enoxaparin, or we give blood thinner medications. And of course, if the patient got a heart attack problem, or patient got a older one, diabetic patient, then we give aspirin as a blood thinner medication. Troponin I can be positive in COVID, because not on this is a marker of the heart attack, but all troponin I, they don't means, doesn't mean they have got a heart attack. The myocarditis or the COVID infection to the heart can cause a troponin I elevation. The BNP, which is the marker of heart failure, can get elevated in patients having a COVID with some of the heart damage. Then the BNP can also be high. So every marker, blood marker, the doctor is the best guide whether what to do with this marker, what is the value. Don't self-treat the patient, don't Google everything. So sometimes the D-dimer goes up, but the patient is improving, so that's a doctor's call. Even the CT scan is bad, so everything leave it on a consult doctors, don't treat yourself. So every investigation has their own value.
Sir, we have a viewer who has got a question that I was treated for mild COVID infection and I fully recovered from the infection. After a week, my blood pressure levels are rising. I am having hypertension for past 15 years, and is it anyway related to COVID? He is using Phenom 20 as a medication for last 4 years.
Sorry, which medication he is taking?
Phenom 20.
Phenom, okay, I got it. Okay, so patient having already, you have got a COVID infection, you recovered, you are already hypertensive. What happens, the post-COVID, some of the patients have been treated by the steroids. If the patient have got a moderate to severe disease, nowadays what kind of treatment we are getting? We know that patient, they once they got a severe COVID infection or moderate, they go into cytokine storm. Because of antibody, body fights with this virus and they got a storm in their body, and that's why the patient, COVID patient, they 7 days initially they they behave good, but after 7 to 14 days is the most dangerous time. They go into the body, get antibody, and there is a fighting between antibody and the virus, so they go into storm. That's why the doctors, they treat such kind of patient on a steroid, or patient having a lung problem, having hypoxia, they are treated with a steroid. So steroid causes two things. Of course, dexamethasone has been proven all over worldwide. So steroid causes two things. It causes your diabetes control goes off and the blood pressure goes up because of volume retention. So if you are not on a steroid, if you are on a steroid causes these things. Once you are gradually off steroid, your blood pressure will come down, and initial period, this period, if your blood pressure is high, you should increase your dose according to your doctor. Suppose you are taking Phenom, is a olmesartan 20 milligram, go to the 40 milligram, or add another drug like amlodipine which your doctor advise. So this is the post any disease that because of stress and so many factors, initial 1 or 2 months your blood pressure remains up, you treat accordingly, and then with your doctor advice you increase or decrease your medication.
So sir, at last we would like to ask, are there any additional measures that we should take to limit risk of getting sick, as any patient is having heart condition?
Yeah, nowadays for heart patient or everybody, as a general population or general public, I want to advise that 4 or 5 things that you always keep in mind. Always wear a mask when you are outside. If anybody in your home is sick, then everybody should wear a mask. And your patient who has got a COVID inside home, that should be isolated strictly. Another thing is social distance. Don't go into any social gathering. Keep distance at least 2 meter distance, if not possible at least 1 meter distance. Anybody comes nearer to you, see to it that he has wear a mask or not. Don't leave any gap. Second thing, don't touch any surface, and if you touch any surface which you are not knowing, always clean your hand with a sanitizer at least containing 70% alcohol. Always wash your hand repeatedly with soap and water, and try to avoid your nose, mouth. These are the two entry zone: nose, mouth. Third one is eye. Don't touch your eyes, don't touch your mouth, don't touch your nose without washing your hand. So, and anybody has got a cough, always be careful. They should not come near to you, and wash your handles or surfaces, sanitize yourself. Don't touch anything which you don't know.
We would like to thank Dr. Jayesh Prajapati sir for giving his precious time for our talk, and sir has given us much information about how to deal with COVID-19 if we have any other disease too. So thank you sir. We would like to know if there any message for our viewers.
Yeah. Thanks for listening all these things. I have almost cleared all your doubts. I want to say that COVID is, don't take it easy. It's a very dangerous. We don't know. I have taught you that comorbidities, a patient they do worse. But remember that we have seen so many patients, those who don't have got a comorbidity, those who are young, no hypertension, no diabetes, even they deteriorated, they die. Even if you survive, then your lungs goes. And that you always you see in a newspaper every weekly comes something bad. You come with your long pulmonary and breathlessness, and even your next 1 to 5 years will be deadly. So once you survive, your life not be good. So don't be a hero. Be safe. Take almost all the precaution. Try to avoid you get an infection, and take care. Thank you so much, friends.
Thank you all, and if you feel anything like you are having any problem, you have any issue, so please consult the doctor. Dr. Jayesh Prajapati sir is available with us at Apollo Hospital, Ahmedabad. If you want to know more about it, you can visit our website Ask Apollo, and you can take an appointment if you feel any problem like this. So you can call us at 76988150003. Thank you.